Hi, I'm Kurt McNamara, and pleased to be able to see and talk to you in this fashion. I am a person who's read Bucky Fuller's work for many decades and written some papers and used his ideas in education and a few other things like that. And I've also worked fairly deeply now for a decade or more with bio-inspired design. And so I'm happy to help anybody with any references they might think or connections, collaboration, mentorship, etc. This is my website, systemeducation.com, and it has some of the early papers as well as some later things, including a couple of video lectures here. One on living systems theory, kind of the background of James Miller's living system theory and how it's been applied. But then the one I think is of more interest to this group is The Nature of Order by Christopher Alexander. So Christopher wrote A Pattern Language, and it's a marvelous book. It was really a collaborative effort to look at, what made buildings alive, if you will. And he spent a lot of time thinking about it. He described that philosophy in The Timeless Way of Building, also recommended. And then he wrote a 4-volume series called The Nature of Order. And these volumes have different subjects. And the second one is about the process of creating life as an unfolding process. What does that mean? It means that at every step in the process, we don't have a grand plan for the cathedral. We don't have an overall plan for the city or whatever it is, or design. We acknowledge what we have, and maybe that's a strong center. And what do I mean by that? Alexander defined or described 15 patterns of living systems that he said several of each are found in every building, every design that's alive. And so one of those is strong centers. That's maybe the key one, that designs have a strong center. They may have gradations within that center, right? They may have levels of scale or they may have greater variation. That strong center has a thick boundary. That boundary has certain aspects to it, including ports of in and out and sensing, etc. And then exterior to every strong center are other centers. So at every moment in a design process, instead of having a grand vision, we acknowledge what we have, which may start just with the site without even a building. We start with our first strong center. We decide whether we should work on that center and strengthen it or add another complementary center to the side of it. That process is this process is unfolding. And I go through that to some extent in this video. And I use some other books on how plants sort of go from, one size to the next, how they expand and that sort of thing. So it's, I think, worthwhile if you're interested in this sort of stuff. Along the way, I learned about Howard Davis, and Howard is part of this work home project, which I don't know a lot about, but they're emphasizing that it's okay to work at home right now. He wrote a book that I really like, and that book is called Working Cities. So highly recommended, and the thumbnail view of that is that we should be building cities with workspaces interspersed with living spaces. We shouldn't be putting all the stuff on the periphery, right? So we have to commute to the suburbs, to these sort of faceless places. We should have hands-on, small-scale stuff scattered through the city. And he showed us this slide which had a number of interesting references with it, that a couple of them I've looked into, and they look pretty good. So that's what I have. Kurt, MCN, C-U-R-T-M-C-N @gmail.com. and systemeducation.com, and drop me a line, and I'd be happy to help. Take care.